Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Booktube Chicks Book Club live show for our March pick, which was Reverie by Ryan Sala. I'm joined by my co-host Desiree from Livery Labra and Kathleen from For the Love of Books. And we're ready to talk about this book because I think we all have thoughts. I tried to write notes for this, and I think I only wrote like 2 notes, and then I stopped. So, as we do, we are going to be doing initial thoughts, which is non-spoiler, where we talk about our rating and just very general thoughts. And then we will tell you guys we're going to go into spoilers, and then the rest of the live show is going to be full of spoilers. So if you have any questions or comments, make sure that you leave them in the chat or tweet us at BookTubeChicks. So, who would like to start with your initial thoughts?
I can go, I guess. So, the book, just throws you into stuff. There were some parts that felt a little bit melodramatic, too. But it just kind of throws you into the situation where you have no idea what's happening or what's going on. Throughout the book, it's almost like they're trying to play it like there was this big accident and the main character can't really remember his life and what was happening. So you don't know if he's done something bad or something bad happened. And they're kind of like questioning his sanity a little bit throughout the story. So I feel like that's the way it starts. And there's just a lot going on. And so this is the kind of book that I wouldn't recommend trying to listen to the audiobook while you're doing something else, because you really have to be paying attention to where things are going, because it spends a lot of time not in reality. And if you're not paying attention, it's very easy to get super, super lost and not know what's going on. But also I feel like I've enjoyed movies that kind of do the same thing, that they throw you into the middle of the situation. You don't know what's going on until the end, where it kind of resolves itself. And I think that's what it was trying to do, but I don't think it was fully there. I think there could have been a little bit more to tie all the threads together to help people get to the end, to that resolution, to where there was supposed to be a clearer picture of everything.
What did you say your rating? I think I missed it again.
No.
Okay.
I feel like
sure.
Yeah. I feel like it like Inception. It's not really the type of movie that you could watch once, and I kind of feel like this is not really the type of book that you want to just read once. I feel like I personally want to reread it, because I think I'll discover a lot and it'll make more sense to me on reread. That's kind of how I feel about it. So if I were going to give it a rating right now, I would give it 3 stars.
We could expect to reread 5 years from now.
Okay, I've never seen Inception, so I can't really say anything to that. But I kind of have the slight opposite opinion of you, Desiree, where I don't want to reread it. Because I really didn't enjoy my first go around. But I gave it 2 stars. No, I didn't give it 2 stars. I gave it 1 star.
No, you gave it 1 star.
I gave it 1 star. And I already knew going into it that I didn't want to read it. Which probably didn't help my mindset with this. But I did listen to the audiobook, and I totally agree with what you're saying, to where if you're not paying attention, you will get lost, because I think that might have happened at 1 or 2 points for me, but my brain could just not wrap itself around what this book is supposed to be about. I have already pretty much blacked out the ending. I can't tell you what happened, which is not good for the live show, but it is what it is. And I just really didn't understand what was going on. And I know that this isn't, I don't think it's not marketed as a mystery. It's marketed as, I think, a fantasy. But there were there was a big mystery element in the beginning, and then throughout the whole book, I just felt like these underlying mystery tones. And I don't like mystery, so that was just not a good time for me. and I don't even know what to say. I was not a fan, and I gave it 1 star.
Okay, so I do agree with what Desiree said, that this is definitely a book that you need to reread. Am I echoing for everybody else? Because it's echoing pretty badly for me.
Yeah, I think you're coming out through Chloe's speakers.
I'm sorry.
Chloe, can you put headphones on or something?
I only have Bluetooth ones, and I can't hook them up to my computer. I can turn you down.
Okay.
Say something. Yeah, I can still hear.
All right. So sorry, it's distracting me. Hold on. So
I'll invest in headphones.
Wait, but I need the mic. I need the mic. Just turn me down completely.
I need to hear.
Okay, sorry. So I do agree with Desiree. This is a book that I feel like you really need to be paying attention when you read it. Don't distract yourself. Don't really just give it your 100% attention to reading this book. I do agree that this book is a book that you could probably, if you want to understand it fully, you should read it the second time. Now, I also agree with Desiree that I wouldn't put myself through a second time reading this book. In a way, like when you compared it to Inception, in a way where you should watch it a second time to fully understand, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the second time I saw Inception, there were a lot of little details that I missed the first time around. However, I didn't necessarily feel that I missed so much from the plot of Inception the first time I watched it. I missed a lot of details, like things that I didn't connect the first time, but I still understood what the movie was about. I understood it as it was going. I was able to follow the plot point. This book was not like that at all. I didn't start understanding what the book was actually about until about halfway through the book. And I do feel like a book should not take that long to engage you. It just kind of throws you there. You don't know what's going on. Your main character does not remember who he is. And then there are these things called the Reverie that are happening. You have no idea what the Reverie is. You're kind of like finding out along with the character. And, that's, I guess, in a way that's good, because you kind of like unravel the mystery as you're reading the book. But I do feel like the author didn't do that very smoothly. I read some reviews because I was like, when Chloe read this book, she was the first one to read out of all of us, and she hated this book. I was like, okay, if she hated this book, I'm gonna probably like it, because I feel like our tastes are somewhat different when it comes to this kind of book. I'm probably gonna like it, and I didn't. And I was like, everything that she told me when she was reading this book, I was like, I agree with her. So I was reading some reviews. I was like, are we the only two who are not liking this book? And for the most part, a lot of the reviews are 3, 4, and 5 stars. So a lot of people are enjoying this book a lot more than we did. But there were some people who agreed with us. Some people said that they thought that the plot point was messy, and that he didn't necessarily drive the plot point smoothly in a point where we can how should I put this? Where we can follow the plot point and where we can understand it. And so I did give this book 2 stars. I don't normally rate books very low. I feel like I've given a handful of 2 stars in my whole life, and I never even given a 1 star in my whole life. And this book actually came pretty close to being a 1 star for me. But there were moments that it was enjoyable, and there were moments I was like, oh wow, this really might turn out to be a good book, and that's the only reason why I gave it an extra star. But I do feel like this book was just really, really messy to me. And another thing is, I don't like Ryan Wasala's writing style. I know that from the reviews that I read, some people really did enjoy his writing style. He has a nice writing style. But I do feel like this book didn't do it justice, and his writing style just came out really messy for me. So I did not enjoy this book or the writing style of it. And I hope that in the future he writes different books, and this won't damper my wanting to read his other works in the future.
So are you still echoing, Kat?
No.
I had a silent delivery to my room, and I hate these headphones because it always messes with my with my cartilage piercing, but I think we're okay right now. But one thing I forgot to add during my thing was that I feel like if I had physically read this book and not listened to the audio, I wouldn't have finished it, because there's just something about, like, when I listen to audio, I do it when I'm driving or when I'm like on campus or anything like that, where I'm doing other things, like I'm walking or I'm driving, but I'm still listening. If I had physically read this, I would have had to put it down, and it wouldn't, like,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be here.
I agree. I was lucky enough to get the e-copy really early from the library, so I listened to the audiobook from Scribd while I was reading it from the e-copy from the library. So
Yeah, it was just a rough time. And well, I guess now we're going into spoilers, and I wrote down like 2 notes, but I kind of think they're irrelevant at this point. And I'm pretty sure one of them was about me being so confused. Yeah, I've already said these 2 points, so they're irrelevant now.
okay.
Hold on, I don't have
so
What
then
was it, Kat? Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what was it, like, if you were to kind of narrow down what it was that you didn't like about his writing style, what would you?
I felt like there were moments, like, I wish I highlighted some parts on the ebook, because I did highlight some things in the ebook. I just felt like sometimes his descriptions were a little too heavy, and I was like, what? So I just feel like he started over describing things to try to, like, I guess, engage you in the story, try to connect you to the story. And I just feel like the story was already confusing enough. Like, I was still trying to wrap my head around what a reverie was when he started over describing things, and I felt like that did not contribute to me understanding the story. I feel like he could have done with a lot less descriptions, and I feel like some people might have enjoyed that, because I did read some reviews where people were just blown away by his writing style, but I feel like his writing style just did not add to the story, and if anything, it made me personally more confused.
I'm still confused on what a reverie actually is. Is the reverie the dream, or is that what they are?
No, it's like the dreamlike state that you're in. God, I highlighted it. Where is my e-reader? Hold on. Go.
It's not like a dream. It's almost like an alternate reality.
Yeah, I got the whole, like, the alternate reality deal, because I'm pretty sure I texted you about it. Because, okay, the whole, like, okay, so let's just say that the AR thing is the plot, like, it's like a storyline. And then I told you how I thought the plot twist thing was, like, cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I can't wrap my brain around it.
Okay,
what's the AR thing?
The alternate reality thing. I understand the alternate reality.
According to the book, reveries, this is a direct quote. Reveries are what happens when a person's imagined world becomes real. So when we're in that second reverie with the old lady, is she's remember when they initially thought that that the reverie was a recreation of a book, and it turns out that it was similar, but in the end she wasn't trying to get with the prince or the love interest. She was trying to connect with the sister. I don't remember really.
Yeah,
but I guess it was the person's imagination that kind of came to life, and that's what a reverie is. But the only thing I don't get about reveries is what makes them manifest, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask.
Well,
like every part
basically you have to start the book just knowing that reveries exist, right? Like the reveries weren't new. They had always existed in this universe. But the reason that so many were popping up, or that they were getting so intense, was because they said a well sprung up, a well of etheria had sprung up. And so it was releasing all of that ethereal energy and causing the
Oh,
reveries.
I had that highlighted too.
So that's what was like triggering all the reveries
Oh, okay.
to happen.
It says it must take shape, and to do so, it started using people with uniquely vast mind, casting its powers through the prism of their imaginations and creating their interior worlds into new realities. Okay, that makes sense.
I'm trying to find. I read a couple of reviews on it, and there was one. Oh, I just found it, and it says to sum it all up: drag queens, dreams, magic, and gays. That's literally it, and they rated it a 3. But then somebody else, and this was like when we found this part out, I was confused because I think I wasn't paying attention at that point. But it was like evil drag queen, and I was like, okay, I think I can roll with this. Maybe.
Yeah, Posey was the bad guy in the end.
Yes, I understood that part, but when it was revealed that she was a drag queen, I don't think I was paying attention at that point, and then I just had to roll with it because I was like, all right, cool.
I think it was during the second. I distinctly remember the scene. I just don't remember when it happened. I think it was when he met her the second time, because the first time was at the jail, and then the second time, and she came out all dressed up, and that's when
because I remember the first time
she came out.
Because the first time she was like a therapist, right?
Yeah, or lawyer. I don't remember. I think she was.
I think she was the therapist.
Yeah.
Okay. This book is just a lot.
What I didn't like fully understand was that, okay, Posey was doing what she was doing because she wanted to create her own world.
Yes.
And so she was the villain trying to get Kane to do what she wanted, to do her bidding. But there's also this element about kind of everybody's fears and everybody's weaknesses and how that manifests and how she was using that. And then she like granted everyone powers. We are in spoiler territory, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it turns out Kane is the one. Kane is the key. Kane is the
loom.
What was it called? The loom. Right. And out of all of the people that could be awake in Reveries, he was the one that was able to do it naturally. That's why he had so much power, because she didn't actually give him a power. He already had it. He already could be lucid in the Reveries.
Right.
I feel like the love story kind of threw me a little.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Why?
Because I don't think I had like a full understanding. Like, that's why I want to reread it, because I think like in the beginning, I know they mentioned Dean's name, but I don't like remember who he was or what he did or why they connected or like.
So my understanding was before. The thing is, we didn't see their relationship from the beginning, and that's why there's a disconnect. Before Kane lost his memories, they kind of were together,
Friends?
into each other.
Right,
they were kind of romantically involved, or at least there were feelings. I don't know. And then Kane lost his memories, and so it's kind of like they had to restart all over again. And I feel like that's where the disconnect is, because I agree. I felt like their romance was just weird. But I feel it's because we never saw the beginning of it. We don't know how they got together. We don't know the start of their relationship. It just kind of became where Dean is the one with all the memories, and he's trying to, I guess, guide Kane in his thing. He's trying to help out Kane, but Kane doesn't remember him. He lost all his memories, so.
But like, he willingly lost them. Like,
Yes.
What was the point of that? What was like, why did he do that?
I think is that the first time around, I remember there was an explanation, but I also forgot. But I want to say it was because he knew that Posey was using him, and he wanted the memories to be forgotten, so that in some way Posey couldn't use him anymore. But Posey found him either way, and he got thrown into the loop all over again. I remember that he did it for a reason, in order to throw off Posey. That's all I remember.
Because I feel like Dean said to him, you wanted the power, like, and he couldn't understand because he didn't see himself as somebody craving that kind of power. But Dean was like, no, I wanted you to it, and you decided to like, or you were
I think that was
scared, so you
also.
decided to erase your whole memory.
I think that was also a part of it. I mean, he's the loom, so I figure like he saw himself maybe getting a little too power thirsty. I don't remember, but I remember them talking about it though.
Can I just say, and this doesn't have to do with like the plot or anything, but when I was scrolling through reviews on Goodreads, Ryan LaSala rated and reviewed his own book, and I'm
A
not
lot
sure
of
how I
authors do
feel.
that.
A lot of authors do that.
Really, I've
Yeah.
never seen
Yes.
that before. Maybe I
Yeah.
don't
Even
scroll
like
through the.
A lot of authors do that.
a lot. Yeah.
It's actually more interesting for me to find an author who doesn't do that.
Maybe it's because I don't really scroll through reviews often, but I just had to see like if anybody else was feeling the same way I was.
I think they're
well,
funny because
No,
they're usually like they write
see authors-
silly things usually.
I see authors either review their. I remember. I don't remember which author it was, but she gave her book 5 stars, and she wrote, "This is an unbiased review, by the way," or something like that. This is totally unbiased, is what she said, and I thought that was funny.
Okay, so then maybe this is something that I haven't paid enough attention to then.
Yeah.
Okay, well then never mind.
So what's really interesting about the author, it's La Sala, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's see if I can find his bio. Is that I think he studied neuroscience.
That's cool.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool. Like there was a lot of things that I feel like unless you've watched Inception, unless you are someone that spends a lot of times inside your dreams, like kind of playing around, you may not have picked up on, because I really liked the way he described certain things. Like they just sounded very familiar to me. And also how he made Cain like the loom with the most power, and that, you know, he was the one that was naturally able to stay lucid and stuff like that. I don't like what he called the group. I feel like it could have been so much more creative than the others. Like, I don't know why you would have like this amazing premise and this super colorful fantasy world, and then it's just others.
What did you expect the name to be? I actually thought others kind of made sense to me.
I mean, unless it's like to describe a feeling, I don't know. Does it just the others?
I don't know. For me, that was the one part I did like about the whole book. Well, one of the few pure. I like that it was like others because they're kind of different, and I don't know. I just for me in my head it made sense for it to call others, but I agree. He maybe should have come up with more of an original name.
But it makes me want to like have a conversation with him and talk to him, because I'm curious, just because I'm fascinated by lucid dreaming in general, and I'm wondering if he could also do that. I was expecting there to be like a little bit more with Cain, because when you can stay lucid within a dream, and if you practice it enough, you could eventually manipulate the whole thing and control the whole thing, which is a pretty unique experience, I think.
Yes, but he's not in his own reverie. He's in someone else's. So technically, the other person should be lucid. He's just part of it. And he did technically, I mean, in some ways, like towards the end, he did try to influence a little bit of the reveries.
What I also didn't understand was the aspect of unraveling it. So I understood how it can be destabilized. I understood how the reverie had and it fought against what was happening. Like whoever was lucid in it, as their actions took form, the reverie kind of fought back against it, which is why the plot twists would happen. But I didn't understand the unraveling of it.
Yeah, no, I don't get it either. So, I mean,
Like,
I
I just
one thing that I understood is that I guess it needed to be done, and that Kane was the only one that was his special ability that he could unravel it. But the only thing I understood about the unraveling is that first off, they needed to let the reverie play itself out the way it's
Mhm.
meant to be, and then you unravel it. And the only one who could do it was Kane. He was the one with this ability to unravel. Why they needed to unravel it and the purpose of unraveling, I actually don't know.
I mean, but was unraveling just figuring it out, or I mean, if you think, if you kind of if you kind of think about it, like, I don't know, I've heard a long time ago, because I have very, very like vivid dreams, and I've always wanted to write a book about them, because I've spent my whole life telling John about them, and he's like, these are so weird. But the truth of the matter is, nobody really gives a shit about anybody's dreams because they're so weird. And they're so personal. So like, even though something really weird may happen in my dream, I could be like, oh, I was having this conversation with this person and that's why that happened. Like, I can make those connections. So maybe that's why they didn't always know what was happening in the reverie, because whoever's reverie it was like more personal to their own experiences and to their own consciousness.
Yeah. I wish I understood the book a little bit more to kind of contribute to that question, but I don't know.
I feel like I just have like such a hard time like understanding this that I can't even contribute to any of the comments at this point, except for like
Chloe,
the
how have you
basic
not
ones.
seen Inception?
I haven't seen a lot of movies. Kat can attest
She's
to that,
doing
and Will can
good.
attest to that.
She
She's
just
doing
watched
good.
because she just finished like did you finish watching Jurassic 3 today?
Yeah,
See, there you go.
I'm gonna
Next
start
she's gonna
Jurassic World
watch
after this.
yeah, next
I'm gonna
she's gonna
start
watch Back to the Future, and then we'll add Inception to the
Oh
list.
my God.
Yeah, she's never
I'm gonna-
seen Back to the Future, which breaks my heart because it's such a good movie.
Oh my God.
It breaks my mother's heart. She loves that movie.
Yeah,
But
it's so
one step at a time. I'm gonna start Jurassic World after we get off the live show.
good.
One step at a time.
So to me, you know, at its core, I feel like this was about kind of dealing with your own fears and insecurities, right? Like, it comes up in a few different areas where, I don't know if it's Posey, but Kane does say it. Maybe Dean says it. I mean, Dean mentions it where he's talking about where he came from and how it was a very ugly world and people like them couldn't exist, you know, without it being dangerous for them. And I assume that all that's referring to the fact that they're gay, because that's the way it seemed like it was being written, like
Yes.
like that they weren't fully accepted and that all these things were happening, and you know, they just wanted to be able to be themselves. I don't know if either of you read the author's note, but he says that drag queens kind of helped him figure out who he was, and that for him it was like a symbolism of ultimate freedom and ultimate power. And I get that, but at the same time, I'm kind of wondering why he chose Posey to be the villain. You know what I mean? Instead of like a mentor or a helper in the whole thing. Like, it almost seems, I don't know. I guess I don't understand why Posey was the villain.
Well, why do you question that? I mean, drag queens can be bad guys too, right? They don't
I mean, I
necessarily always
guess.
have to be the good guys. For me, to be honest, I actually liked that Posey was the bad guy, and for me, it made most sense because she's this super cool magical being. I don't actually know what she is, sorceress, and it made sense because she has all this confidence and she has this incredible power, and in the end, I think it made sense that she would want to create her own world and destroy everybody else's. I don't know. To me, I actually liked that she was the villain in a way. To me, it just made sense in my head. I couldn't see anybody else being the villain because they're just not as powerful. They're not powerful enough to be the villain unless it was Cain. And then that would just throw me into a loop if he ends up being the bad guy in the end.
Now, what was the deal with Dean? He was born in a reverie. Like, what did that?
He was reverie made. He's not a real person. He was made from a reverie. He was born in a reverie, which is why he was always questioning whether he was real or not. And he was questioning. He asked Cain. That was that one scene where he asked Cain not to kill Posey because it will ultimately kill him. Because it was technically Posey who was keeping him. It was Posey's power that was keeping him alive. But then he ended up being able to stay alive outside of reveries in the real world. So I don't know exactly how it works. All I know is that I highlighted this. He says he was reverie made or reverie born. Yeah. They were in a reverie or they were in that spaceship scene, the reverie, and he was like, in Dean's eyes were undeniably white. He was reverie born.
I remember that scene. Wait, is that you said that's the scene in the spaceship?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that scene.
So he said, and then it goes on, it says, Cain had wondered from the start what someone like Dean was doing working for someone like Posey, and now he understood. Dean had no choice. He was a weapon, salvaged from a world crushed by Posey long before this battle began.
I feel like they mentioned closer to the beginning of the book where they were talking about the characters with the white eyes, and that those were just like players in the reverie, right? Like, were they?
So here's
like when they referred to the cheerleaders in the basketball team, did they have white eyes or no? Because they were real people.
If they were in the reverie, yes. Well, I think so. Yeah. If they were just pawns in the reverie, in the nightmare, I think so. And it says here. This is Dean talking. He says, the world I come from is a cruel one. People like me are hunted, slain, and eventually I got caught looking too long at the wrong person, and that was my end. They found me, but Posey found me too, and she offered me a choice, and I'm glad I took it. I survived, but my cruel world didn't. So I'm thinking that he was originally in a reverie, and I don't know what happened, and Posey offered him a choice out. And that's the reason why he was able to get out of his reverie and, I guess, survive in the real world and survive in other reveries.
So was Posey also unraveling reveries in her own fashion by making the charms?
I mean, I can't answer yes or no because I don't know what unraveling means. But I what I understood is that once the unraveling occurred, she took, like, I guess, a little piece of the reverie, or she contained that reverie within a little charm, and that's how she kept them and she collected them. That's what I understood with the charms.
Because towards the end, like,
collecting them.
Go ahead.
Like, was she collecting them to create her own world? Is that what that was for, or is that just its own separate thing?
I think it had to do with creating her own world. But again, I'm not entirely sure.
And, like, Dean gave Cain the charms. And so at some point, don't they end up in a reverie with all the charms kind of being released? So everything was just a mishmash of weird ass shit.
What I understood from the ending, after Posey was defeated and they all go back to their world, what I understood is that Cain, with the charms, he opened the reveries up and he let them play out how it is. Because I remember the one with the old lady from the second reverie, he wanted to give her peace, by letting her reverie play out the way she originally wanted it to. Not through the love interest, but through the friendship.
Was it friendship? I thought they were gay. Or they were lesbians.
Were they? I thought it was friendship.
I didn't think that's what it was.
It might make sense if it was a lesbian relationship, but I thought it was friendship. But whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Like he opened the reverie up from the charm and he let it play out the way the original person whose reverie it was, the way the original person wanted it to.
What was the deal with him saying I'm not an egg?
You have to give me context because I don't remember that quote.
I feel like he said it multiple times. Like somebody said, "You're such an egg," or something like that. And he was like, "I'm not an egg. I'm not an egg." But then with, I don't remember their names. Hold on. The lady that was like collecting the eggs.
Yeah, that was the second. That's the old lady with the second reverie. Yeah, I don't remember her name. That's why I keep calling her.
Is it Helena?
Lady. Is it Helena? I don't remember.
Who was the lady that they were like for basically the whole book? Because it wasn't her, but it was her partner, I thought.
Is it Helena?
Wait, so are we talking about the lady whose reverie they were in, or the lady who was like disappeared or whatever?
They were together was what I read. That those two ladies were in love, I thought.
Okay.
That's how I read that.
We'll go off of that then,
because
I don't remember.
Because at one point, well, first of all, she gets really upset because somebody ends up killing her in the reverie.
Yeah.
I think. And Kane ends up in this weird place, I guess, after becoming the Loom, and she's like, "What are you doing here? You shouldn't stay here. I'm already stuck here forever." Because that was the woman that they had been looking for the whole time. And she was just kind of locked in her own place, and she said, "Oh, I'm just gonna stay here and wait for Helena. She'll find me eventually." But I thought there was something to do with the eggs because he kept saying, "I'm not an egg." And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Like, why is he saying that? What does that mean?
I didn't notice the whole thing with the eggs. I was too busy trying to understand the rest of the book.
I also, and I'm almost done with it because it's a really short, it's like 4 hours long. It's a middle grade. But they mention The Witches. It was like his favorite book. And at some point, Dean takes the book and he reads it and he's like, "I understand why you love it." It's a dark fantasy kids book. I'm a little bit shocked by it because I can't imagine telling kids the stuff that's in this book. It's like all about witches and how witches collect little children and destroy them, and how, witches are always women and they hide amongst the population, and that there's like a coven of witches in every single country. Some have more than others, and they can smell little kids, especially when they're really clean and they smell like dog poo. And it was just so weird. And then at one point, like, his grandmother invites him in and she's like, "Here, have some of my cigar." He's like, "I'm 7, Grandma." She's like, "It doesn't matter. You're old enough to smoke a cigar. If you can smoke a cigar, you'll always be healthy," or something like that. And I'm just like, what? It was very strange. I think I could see a few glimpses of where maybe he got inspiration for Posey from that book. But I'm surprised I never read it as a kid, and I'm still surprised at what was in it. It was just definitely dark fantasy for children, not really your average kid's story.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. I'm going to have to read more of the reviews because I know that Perpetual Pages give it like 5 stars. And I was, I guess, a little surprised by that, but I'm going to go check their channel. I'm going to check their channel to see if their there is a review on there.
I don't know. All I know is that most of the reviews were 3, 4, 5. There were very little people who disliked like me and Chloe did. But I feel like they did understand the book better, and maybe they just connected with the story a little bit more. I was too confused to even start connecting with the story.
I mean, I also kept expecting you to like have to like love it and to not understand why I was confused. See, one of the books, because we did a poll for this book, and I think both of you guys voted for Reverie, and I voted for something else. But this is the book that I didn't even vote for this book, The Stars We Steal, which is one of those options. Guys, I wish we picked this book. This book is so much better.
Yeah, but it's good to read outside your comfort zone, Chloe. You rarely read outside your comfort zone, so this was good, even though you hated it.
Excuse you. I've been doing a good job.
Yeah. Even though you hated the book, but it was good for us to read.
I can't even think of the last time I hated a book that we picked. I can't remember. I may have to scroll through old live shows and see, because I can't remember at all.
I was expecting a few more people to be in the chat since it was voted on by the community.
I'm not surprised.
People watch the playback. It's okay.
Well, then I hope you leave comments, because I'm anxious to hear what other people thought of it.
I think somebody left a comment. I think it's possible somebody left a comment on a past live show, and I just can't remember what it was. I think it was a while ago, but I'm pretty sure that was the thing. I'm scrolling through our live shows to see what the last time a book that I didn't like happened. And so far,
book that you disliked this much? No.
No, I don't think there's ever really been one. Nexus, we were both kind of meh on. Yeah, I'm at the beginning of 2019 in live shows, and there was nothing that I hated. So,
well, we also have to think about, Chloe. A lot of the books are booked because I don't contribute to what. Oh, what should our next book? You're usually like, hey, look, here's a list, pick one, and then I usually pick. So it's usually a book that we think that we're gonna enjoy.
What did I give Sea Witch? I can't remember.
I think you gave it three stars. I want to say.
I'm gonna look. I didn't like it enough to want to read the second one.
Yeah, but you did. I don't think you gave it 2 stars.
Yeah, I gave it a 3. 3 is a meh.
This is a standalone, right?
Yes.
I hope it is. Sorry. Because
I would like for him to
read. I would like for him to write something else besides this.
He does have on his Goodreads.
I would like to give him another chance with a different book.
Goodreads has another book listed to be published next year, but it doesn't there's no information on it.
I think this is a standalone. I don't think there's a sequel. It kind of, the way it ended, just like.
I'm pretty sure it is a standalone.
Because there's no other bad guy. Like Posey. I mean, I'm sure they could come up with another bad guy, but Posey was like the main threat, and she kind of got destroyed in a way.
Do we have anything else that we want to add to this this interesting conversation?
I'm good.
Desiree?
Oh, just that I really, really liked the cover design.
I feel like a lot of people like this cover. I saw this in Target one day, before we even started reading it, and Will's like, well, aren't you going to buy it? And I'm like, no, what if I hate it? And yeah, here we are.
I'm sorry, but this is the prime example of don't judge a book by its cover. Because it's such a pretty cover. And I didn't like the book.
It's not just because the cover is pretty. It's because of how much. I mean, I actually want to write to the designer to ask them what their inspiration was. But there's so much about the cover. As I'm falling asleep, and I'm trying to dream lucidly, all I can see behind my eyelids is just lots of colored dots.
Yeah.
And that's what they put on, like, well, they're not colored, but they put all the dots in the chapters. Can't see it.
I kind of see it, yeah.
And it's
open up my
the
book.
colored dots are all over the cover. And then also I was just telling Kat that, like, when I dream lucidly, it seems like the colors in my dreams are so vivid and so much brighter than real life. It's almost like they're iridescent. And I feel like that was also really captured in the cover with, like, the pinks and the blues and the way they tried to make. It's not actually, well, it is slightly iridescent.
I've got the library copy, so mine's just shiny all around. Yeah, I can't see it.
But it seems like, the designer just gave it a lot of thought, at least from my perspective, which I thought was super cool, because those are not things that the average person would really think of in regards to dreaming and whatnot. So
I do feel like there are certain books where the cover design was really thought out, and they really, like, captured the essence of the book.
So
Okay. All right. Any final thoughts, Desiree?
nope, just the final thought of
That you're going to reread it.
that I'm going to reread it. That's it.
Do you feel like rereading it right now, or are you going to wait for, like, for you to digest it and then reread it?
What?
Are you going to reread it right away?
Digest it and then reread it?
Yeah, are you going to wait a little while, digest it, and then reread it, or?
I'm probably going to wait a little while, just because I have to finish another book for another book club. So, but I have an hour left on the witches, and I'm just going to finish that, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, final thoughts for me is the premise was good. For me personally, I mean, the reviews on this book are clearly, me and Chloe are in the minority because they're mostly 3 stars and up. For me personally, the book just missed the mark. I was really interested in this book, and when Chloe rated it solo, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna love this book, because I just feel like that's when me and Chloe read certain types of books, we're just, like, on different fences. And so I was quite surprised when going into this book, I just wasn't into it. And a lot has to do with the fact that I did feel like the author just kind of threw you in there and you're very confused. And in part, it does have to do with the fact that the main character does start off the book with no memories. And I feel like the author just kind of wanted to leave the reader a little bit in the dark, just like the main character was. And in a way, that's great. But I do personally, for myself, feel like he didn't do as good a job getting the reader to understand exactly what's going on. I was very confused about what was going on, what the heck is happening with this book, until about halfway through the book, when there's this second reverie that's happening. And then I started, like, making all the connections, and things started making a little bit more sense. And then more things happened, and I just got confused about those things. But in general, about halfway through the book is when I started making more of the connections and started understanding about what the actual plot of the book is. And I'm very sad that this book didn't live up to the expectations that I had, because we ran the Twitter poll, and I actually voted to read this book because it just sounded really, really good. And I'm sad that it didn't turn out that way for me. So I did give 2 stars. I will obviously give Ryan LaSala another chance, as long as it's not the sequel to this book, because I will not read the sequel to this book. But in case he writes something different, I would definitely like to read another book by him. But there were good moments about this book. I felt like once you started understanding what the book is about, it did get a little bit more interesting. Posey, who is our drag queen sorceress, she was probably the most interesting character in the whole book for me. So I did really enjoy her, even though she turned out to be the bad guy. And there were some really good moments about the book, but unfortunately the rest of it just didn't live up to it. So those are my final thoughts. It's just this 2-star rating for me.
I mean, I don't really have any other final thoughts other than I gave it 1 star. I'm still just incredibly confused by this whole book. And yeah, I'm not sure if I'd read anything else by Ryan LaSala. I guess it would depend on the book.
I feel like if you wrote like a gay contemporary,
Yes.
I would read it. Or
It's like,
maybe
you know
not,
how
doesn't even necessarily have to be a contemporary. Even like a fantasy that the main character does not have memory loss, so that we can like, you know, not be as confused with the main character. You know what I mean? I would read it. So
it's like, I was gonna say, well, if he pulls like an Adam Silvera and he goes from writing fantasy to writing like gay contemporary, like how Adam Silvera just went from writing gay contemporary to writing fantasy.
yeah,
I didn't like his fantasy book though. So
what was this fantasy book?
Infinity Sun.
Oh, that's right.
I think I gave it like 3 stars, but I'm honestly not going to continue on in the series.
That's better than
I'm not 100% sure, but I think the person that narrated this book also did one of the voices in the Adam Silvera book.
His voice was very recognizable. I was trying to I didn't look into it, like I didn't go on Google and look up what other books, but I recognize his voice, so I did feel like he played another popular book that we probably all read together.
I'm looking it up now.
Trying to think. He was also the voice of the audiobook narration of Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda.
Oh, that might be it. That book sucks. I can't believe Desiree took you so long to read it.
I'm just trying to find out if he actually did it or not.
See.
Oh, I just want to know if he did Infinity Sun.
Michael Crouch is his name. Is the name of the narrator.
For what? Reverie or Infinity Sun?
For Reverie.
No.
And so he did Simon versus
Wait, what?
Apparently.
Hold on, I have a completely different name for who narrated.
We're looking
Reverie.
up who. Okay, hold
on. So I have, for the narrator of Reverie, I have Pilar Witherspoon. That's from Scribd. No, that is from Scribd. Hold on, let me check. Now I gotta check.
It's narrated by Michael Crouch.
Then why is Scribd like completely like not on it? No, I'm serious. Look.
Let me double check.
Hold on, I'm looking it up on Scribd.
On Scribd, it says written by Ryan LaSala, narrated by the.
Yeah, it is. They probably just got it wrong. Scribd. Goodness gracious.
So now I gotta look up this other dude. Michael Crouch. How do you spell Crouch?
I'm trying to figure out how to get info here.
Crouch.
Oh wow, they did mess that up. I wonder who Pilar Witherspoon is.
Oh, Michael Crouch is gonna do or does Yes, No, Maybe So too. I didn't read the audiobook for that, but I can see that. And he did They Both Die at the End. And Simon. Anything else?
Yep.
Okay, first of all, according to Google, Pilar Witherspoon is a lady. She's a woman.
Well, then Scribd needs to like get on it.
Was there 2 different narrators? Like, was there a point where
No, there was one.
Because I'm trying to. Okay, hold on.
Scribd, what is happening?
Yeah, she's definitely a lady according to Google. So Scribd is wrong. Very wrong, I guess.
Fact check. Okay, we need to wrap this up.
Yes.
Okay, so for April, I'm I'm kind of excited to read this, so I hope it doesn't disappoint. And Kat, you picked this, so I really hope it doesn't disappoint. But we're going to be reading Thorn, and I can't put the cover up, so I have it on my phone. Thorn by Intisar Kanani. I had to look up how to say her name. Can you even see that? There you go. You can kind of see it. But I'm really hoping to enjoy this book. It just came out on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, the 24th. And
didn't you say it was a re-release?
Yeah, so it was self-published originally, and then it was picked up by a major publisher who I don't know the name of, and they did small redesigns to the cover and then re-released it. So this is the re-release, and our live show is tentatively Siri, stop.
Which one? I found
And
Harper Collins picked up this book.
And our live show is tentatively scheduled for April 26th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is a Sunday, as we do. And I was telling Kat the other day that I wanted to make sure I read the re-released version because since it was originally self-published, we don't know what the editors did or changed or whatnot. Because I know the Siren by Kira Cass, which was originally self-published and had a different ending than I think what is actually published by a major publisher. So I was like, I got to make sure I read the most up-to-date version. And April 26th, yep, that's it. So that is all we have for this live show today, discussing Reverie by Ryan LaSala. Make sure to join us next month to read Thorn by Intisar Kanani. And we will see you guys on that day. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Booktube for all of the updates. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.